Bitch, we run a trap like. Bitch, we run a trap like.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Homestead-Miami Speedway, to the season finale of the OMSRL Xfinity Series, sponsored by Tucson Sound Art. It's the Tucson Sound Art 150, and what a show it is going to be. My name is Nolan Remple with Nathaniel Ames, bringing you all the coverage tonight from flag to flag from beautiful Miami Speedway. It's going to be one exciting show for us here tonight. 4 drivers enter this race, getting set to go head-to-head. Logan Hamilton, Colby Wells, Michael Kenner, and Nate Brody. 4 drivers will enter the ring tonight, but only one of them will walk out of here with the OMSRL Xfinity Series crown and champion of season number 3 with that prestigious title of being the one to knock Matt Rucci off of his pedestal. So Nathaniel, as we get set to go racing here tonight, it is bound to be one exciting show for us here today. And you know that all these drivers are going to be chopping at the bit. We could be in for one of the most aggressive races we have had in OMSRL history.
Oh, absolutely, Nolan. And I tell you what, I've raced with these guys all season, and this is going to be a battle for the ages. It's been a tough fight all season for everybody, and these final 4 are definitely going to put all their cards on the table tonight to give it all they got to get that win and that championship.
They are going to be needing to give everything tonight, as drivers will be setting to qualify themselves, start up as far up as they possibly can. Here is Logan Hamilton, one of those top 4, currently finding himself sitting a bit further down the order. He has not put down a qualifying lap just yet, but the Journey South Racing number 12 going to be doing his hardest here to see if he can get himself up to a good spot on the starting grid. Power sliding, though, out of turn number 4. Seems like Hamilton might already be struggling early. This track has been known to be fairly slippery at times, and I imagine Hamilton, one of the drivers that would know this better than anybody. Homestead-Miami Speedway has been one of those tracks Hamilton has historically struggled with in seasons past, and he is hoping that he's going to be having himself a solid run then here tonight. Who knows? I think we're going to be in for one exciting show, though, as Hamilton throws himself in as a 5th place driver for the time being. That is, of course, 5 out of 5 drivers that have qualified. So far, not a good start for one of the championship 4.
No, not at all, Nolan. And we'll see what goes on as qualifying continues. I know in practice, Logan was looking to struggle a little bit, was running mid-pack times. I'm sure he's hoping to make some early moves, early pitch strategy, and get to the front to try to battle for this championship tonight.
Colby Wells has already put himself up into the 3rd position, but he was just bumped down to 4th by Jacob Noyes. Nate Brody, one of the other TI Racing drivers who has got to see if he can get himself a good qualifying run of the Asheville Rooftop Bar Tools number 1 Chevrolet, as he is going to get set to cross the start-finish line for his first qualifying lap at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Taking it to the start-finish line now, the number 1 car going to be putting himself P5 so far on the timing boards.
Yeah, Nolan, and I'm taking a look at Nate as he's running this qualifying lap, and I noticed he's running the bottom side. Do you think that this bottom side will be, be working early on? Historically, these guys, including myself and other leagues that we're in, they like to run the high side here at Miami. It's a fast line. Do you think that they'll immediately go high, or they'll work low and try to work that high line in?
I think we're going to be seeing that inside lane being the place that drivers are going to want to be early on, and then they're going to be migrating that lane further out the racetrack. Got a good second lap put down. Good enough for 2nd place out there on the racetrack. At the moment, Kyle Munson remains the last driver to put down a qualifying time. He's only going to have time, though, for the 1 lap, as he's got 20 seconds left on the clock as he runs it around through turns 3 and 4. 12 drivers out of I believe it's going to be about 21, 22 or so that are going to get set to go racing here in the Tucson Sound Art 150. Munson going to cross the line. Where will this lap put the number 8 car? Only good enough for 10th fastest on the boards, but hey, still getting to the top 10. That is still net yourself into the top half of the field. So, as drivers are now finished up with their qualifying laps here, I think it's about a high time that we take a rundown here of your starting grid from Homestead-Miami Speedway, as we have drivers starting to get themselves sorted up there on the field. It is Michael Kenner to be in 4th place. One of the other Championship 4 drivers, he is going to have a lot to improve on. But on pole, it is Spencer Ray with Dave Brody down in 2nd. Austin Gassion sits 3rd. The priorly mentioned Kenner is 4th. Hunter Throwers in 5th with Lucas Strayer in 6th. Jacob Noyes is 7th. Colby Wells rounds out 8th place. Logan Hamilton will have to settle for 9th place in this qualifying effort with Kyle Munson in 10th. Stefan Bursell and Tyler Granite were the last 2 drivers to set qualifying laps. From there, you've got Matt Rucci in 13th, not qualifying as always. Kyle Graham will be in 14th with Robert Peterson in 15th. Grant Peterson 16th. Sean Kaiser is 17th. Alexander Schumacher is in 18th. Justin Wilson and Matt LaValle bring up the tail end of a 20-car field here. So as one by one, drivers are getting themselves all gridded up here and ready to rumble. What do you think we could expect as we continue to go racing then here tonight from tonight's race here, Nathaniel?
I think we could expect to see some elbows being put out early on. I think these guys are gonna give it all they got. I mean, you know, historically throughout the season, it's been push on lap 1, and we go all the way. I think we could see some early cautions. I know a couple guys towards the rear of the field were struggling during practice to try to keep the car grip down throughout the turn. So, you know, we always hope that these races go green, but we could see an early caution due to, you know, cold tires, fresh track, and just a lack of aero grip being in the pack.
That is, of course, always the hope is that these races go green, but you hit the nail on the head when it is said that these races don't have a tendency to go green, especially at the start, and especially at Homestead-Miami Speedway. That inside lane has a real tendency to slick off in a hurry, so these drivers are really going to have to find themselves being very, very patient here in tonight's race as field is running their way down the back straightaway. All 20 cars, save for Justin Wilson, have gridded up. The B&H driver will be starting this race all the way back from pit road in the number 48 Chevrolet. For now, though, this pace car runs his way through turns 3 and 4. I want to once again thank everybody for taking the time to join us here on an absolutely beautiful Tuesday night. Time to crown ourselves a champion. Pace car is going to pull down and into pit road. Leave it now in the hands of one Spencer Ray. Green flags in the air. We're racing for the final time at Homestead. Three wide off of turn number 4 as it will be Spencer Ray to lead the first lap back to green out of 100 here tonight. Logan Hamilton up the inside of playoff competitor Michael Kenner, and he has got himself one Colby Wells up on top. Still 3 abreast as we thunder down the back straightaway for the second time tonight, Nathaniel.
And as we see, there a couple guys starting to run the high line there. I think they're trying to get this tested out, but a lot of guys running low. And I want to just go back to that green flag start. We saw a couple guys struggle to get going. I mean, I saw Kyle Green. He dropped almost to the rear of the field right off the bat. It looks like these guys are struggling for grip early on here. Nolan.
Homestead-Miami Speedway has always had a tendency to be very, very slick in the early goings. We, of course, mentioned this, touched up on this a little bit earlier on. And when I say slick, I mean skating rink slick. I mean, it is so easy for these cars to get themselves unsettled. I'm honestly surprised we didn't see anybody really twitching that back end out as we hightail it back down the front straightaway. Trouble behind. Tyler Grennan kind of getting collected in a bit of a melee deeper in the field. He's going to scramble down towards the inside line. Going to quickly get a look, if we can, on what just happened to Tyler Grannon, because he got all sorts of crossed up as they exited turn number 4. It was with Grant Peterson up top, Alexander Schumacher on the bottom. It looked like contact with Schumacher sent Peterson almost into the outside wall, and the 19 scrambling to the bottom, lucky not to have our first caution of the night there.
Yes, Nolan, and taking a look at that replay, it looked like the 19 either got arrow loose or just slight contact from Peterson there, and it just upset the car, and that could have been bad, but he saved it, and we're still green.
Still green flag racing indeed. Colby Wells trying to run up to the back of Logan Hamilton. Hamilton already on a charge, +7 for he started the race tonight. Wells is up 5 and is trying to throw it up the inside of the Dirty South Racing Red Bull Toyota Supra. Hamilton, though, holding strong. 3 of your top 4 are running 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Make that all of your playoff 4 running 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Only Spencer Ray has separated this from being a title fight top 4 at the moment.
Yeah, Spencer just, when he got the lead, he just pulled out away from these guys as he's running about a second ahead so far, and not giving these guys any quarter. Looks like it's going to be a battle on there for them to try to get the win.
Colby Wells making the look for the inside line. Is he going to attack down to the turn numbers 1 and 2? It looks like he will, to the inside of Logan Hamilton. Remember, points do not matter in this race for your championship 4. It is winner takes all. No stage points, no bonus points going to be awarded to either of these drivers, which means Colby Wells is going to have to get in front of Hamilton and stay in front of Hamilton. He cannot rely on stage points to bail him out tonight.
No, he can, and as we see, Wells complete that pass, but Hamilton, meanwhile, was looking to fight back for a run on the inside. We'll see if he can try to make a run into turn 1, and no, he can't. He's just going to back off and settle into 3rd place for now.
Logan Hamilton has many times struck me as one of those drivers that is great on the short runs, not so much on the long run. We were actually talking previous about this as well, Nathaniel, weren't we? The fact that Hamilton needs to have some caution in this race to help him keep that short run pace. Spencer Ray has been losing pace as the drop of the green flag. The Bolts Ford Mustang all the way to the top side, and it looks like he is going to be having to battle out with Colby Wells with the race lead. Wells, though, will lead lap number 8 that time by at the stripe. Spencer Ray starting to drop back.
He may be starting to drop back, Nolan, but it looks like he's still giving this battle to Colby Wells, as they're still side by side going down the backstretch, as Logan's right behind them looking to get into the fray. It's going to make this a 3-way battle for first, going into 3 and 4. This fits in to get interesting. Nolan?
Whoa, Spencer Ray sliding it out, and that's going to open up the door once more for Colby Wells. So look up the inside line. Knew that was going to happen eventually. You can't be pushing that hard on the bottom side at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Did a good job, though, to recover it, but it looks like it was all for naught, as now Wells clears from the bottom, and I don't think Spencer Ray will be able to mount an assault this time around to try to see if he could get that spot back. Well, tries he will. Spencer Ray so far has been one of the few drivers that has really grazing up to that outside line. Everybody else has been sticking it to the bottom. How about Michael Kenner trying to look at the inside of Logan Hamilton? Brody and, in fact, the 41 Lucas Strayer both having a check up as Hamilton gets out of shape.
For sure, and that could have collected all 3 of them, Nolan. And I tell you what, Logan looks like he's starting to struggle here. It looks like he's trying to find some pace on the high side, and it's just not working out for him. We'll see. Like you said, historically he's a short run driver, so I don't know if he's looking for a caution or if he's, trying to play a little bit more conservative on backing out this front fight and just saying, hey, it's a long race. Let me try to conserve my equipment a little bit more and, try to pick him off as the night goes on.
A new competitor has just entered the arena. Justin Wilson has taken it to the track at the Goodwrench 48, but he is now 12 laps down due to missing the start of this race. He's going to have a lot of work ahead of him if he wants to find himself at the front of the field. And he's actually spinning out of a turn number 4, locking it down almost into the inside wall. Is he going to keep it out of the wall? Looks like he will. No caution because he is nowhere near the rest of the field. We're going to keep this race green, but a close call early on there for Justin Wilson, who is just having a horrendous night so far. The field continues to work their way off of turn numbers 3 and 4. Wells is broken now, clear by about half a second at the moment. Spencer Ray has it at the 2/10 back to Michael Kenner. And Hamilton still under serious pressure by one. Nate Brody, the Asheville Rooftop Bar Tools Chevrolet, as that number 1 car's not been able to find a way through. Much like Iowa, it can be a difficult track to pass at once you actually get up to speed, but so far, the guys are doing a good job on managing that challenge, and Brody looks like he's going to pick off one more as he goes to the inside.
Yeah, Nolan, as we see Logan Hamilton still running that high line, trying to find some pace back up towards the front, and it looks like he's struggling early on. I mean, he got up towards the front, and that clean air looked to be helping, but as he's getting back in the pack and with this dirty air and running with these guys, it looks like it's, as he goes for a little bit of a slide there, nearly losing it out of turn 4. Looks like he's trying to fight this car, and it's not helping him out one bit, Nolan.
Yeah, no kidding. He is struggling at the moment, as is Spencer Ray, but not quite to that extent. Spencer Ray is still slipping backwards, and he's going to make contact with Michael Kenner off of turn number 2. So these two drivers still battle out with one another. It's important to note, Spencer Ray not in the title fight. Michael Kenner very much is, so Kenner might take that one a little bit personally. We'll have to keep our eyes really close on this fight as it develops. The last thing you want to be, oh, look out, Hamilton! It's gone wrong right at the start as Hamilton's into the inside wall, but no caution, he's off the racetrack.
Yeah, Nolan, and I suspected it was coming for Logan. I mean, like I noticed for the past, 6 laps that he's been fighting this car, and there's no grip out on track.
Well, he had help.
Actually, it looks like he had to have some help. Yeah.
That was Hunter Thrower that got into him, it looks like, in the number 83 car. We'll see if we could get a quick a secondary look at that one, but he definitely had help there by Hunter Thrower. Watch this one as this was, just ran into the back of it. It looks like Thrower thought he was clear. Well, not quite. Hamilton's going to go to the inside wall, and that's huge for the championship.
Oh, for sure, Nolan, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a post-race review for that incident, and hopefully this won't cost Logan too much, and that this probably didn't end Logan's championship hopes tonight.
Don't forget, he still has that one stage coming up at lap 35. It's not over yet. That's the one that the stage is good for these playoff drivers here tonight. If you end up in a mistake early on like that, you get yourself the chance to make up that time later on. I think Matt Rucci just glanced off the outside wall as he tries to fend off Austin Gassion, the Grant Chevrolet, down the back straightaway. The front pack is kind of dissipated somewhat, but Rucci still trying to work his way through the field, and he's now up 7 spots, just like Colby Wells is. Rucci on the charge. Listen, he wants to go for one last bit of glory before the season ends.
Oh, for sure, Nolan. And I want to point out something as you were giving a little bit of rundown about Rucci. I noticed, looking towards the back of the pack, Hunter Thrower got into the wall out of in turn 3 and 4. I don't know if we can get a replay on that or something. It looks like he just lost it, or they pushed wide into the wall.
Oh, yeah, right there. You can already tell he had the damage. We'll back it up by a little bit further and see if we can... Yeah,
there was
right
some
there.
Contact with the 52.
I think you're right. We'll try to see if we can back it up just that little bit further. And, right, this would be on lap 17 then. He's with the 52 car here. We might be a little bit too far back. We'll hopefully see if this is the case, though. If it isn't, we can always jump forward that a little bit more. 52 car is inside of Grant Peterson, and no, I don't think there was. I think he just got out of shape. Didn't realize 52 wasn't going to turn in that much, and Thrower just ran himself a bit of the wall. I also want to point out Tyler Grenick, also really slow. Oh, he also lost control just by himself, and he nearly wiped out the 83.
Oh, man, Nolan, I tell you what, that could have been bad. That could have been a big break for Logan if that turned out to be a caution, but it didn't. I tell you what, these drivers are struggling for grip. It's still a fresh track. It's that transition from day to night, so it's quite slick out there, and we're seeing it from a couple of the drivers who are struggling tonight.
Track temperature is looking to be around 79 degrees Fahrenheit, so that is a very, very cold track, not helping things. That has only exacerbated the situation these drivers are struggling with at the moment. At least this time, it's not so humid that you've got, as it was dubbed last week, a bunch of corn starch floating around the racetrack at Iowa. Only 52% humidity in the air, but yeah, cold track temperatures not helping that at all. It's like a skating rink for these drivers, I'd imagine, at the moment, as Brody and Kenner continue to squabble with one another for that second place. All the while, Colby Wells started to pull a bit further clear. He is now 9/10 and growing into the lead. Meanwhile, Lucas Strayer trying to put Spencer Ray down another spot.
Oh yeah, Nolan for sure. And going back to last week at Iowa, man, I tell you, we've had some interesting weather these past couple of weeks racing in the league, and you know, with me racing in the car last week, it was definitely a struggle. I mean, the track grip was there because the track was warmer, but the so-dog corn starts made it difficult to see, and we saw that as I got into a couple incidents, and a couple other guys did as well. But here tonight, the track temp is a lot cooler, and we're definitely seeing that with not a lot of rubber on the track, and these tires just now really coming into their form. You know, these drivers are struggling for all the grip, and with this car not having a lot of aero on the back compared to, say, the next gen or the trucks, you know, we're definitely seeing these guys struggle.
Spencer Ray trying to battle back against Lucas Strayer as he is working that inside lane, trying to keep up with the number 41 car, but Strayer's been holding strong up on that top shelf. You can see a massive field spread now throughout the field. About half a lap now between first place all the way back to 17th, still on the lead lap here at the moment. So I think this is about that time where things are going to settle into the regular rhythm at the moment. This fight for fourth, the closest one on the racetrack.
For sure, Nolan. And, you know, we say settle in, but we got to remember, you know, with the track conditions the way they are, anything could happen. As we've seen, even some of the faster guys tonight so far have lost it or nearly lost it. And, you know, you can always hope for the best when you're racing, especially coming from my perspective as an active race car driver. And, you know, we hope for the best, but with the way the track conditions are and the way these guys have been battling since the green flag drop, you know, I don't expect this rhythm to set in for long. Nolan?
I'm going to pull a good old commentator's jinx here and say quarter distance, still green flag racing. It's tradition for me at this point with the OMSRL Xfinity Series. Every time I think we're going to have a clean race, the exact opposite happens. Every time I think, oh, this race is going to be disaster, really caution-free. How about that for Darlington? Still green flag racing, though, as we hit lap 27, less than 10 laps to go before the end of stage number 1, where points will be awarded for everybody not in the championship 4. Once again, to refresh, those drivers are Colby Wells, Michael Kenner, Logan Hamilton, and Nate Brody. Currently, Wells and Kenner run 1-2. They are the two top guys at the moment for that title. Nate Brody sitting at the moment in a lonely third place, in a bit of a no man's land at the moment, way up there in third place. And then you've got Logan Hamilton down in 16th after he got turned by Hunter Thrower off of turn number 4. And now you can see a lot more drivers migrate up to the top line. Look at Ray and Rucci both moving all the way almost up to the wall. And in fact, Kenner was doing the same thing to get a run down the backstretch.
For sure, Nolan. And I've noticed as these tires are wearing in and these drivers are starting to get comfortable, they're moving from that bottom most seam to more of the middle groove. And like you've pointed out, some of these guys are running the high line. And I'm curious to know what this is going to do to tire wear here, because as you know, Miami has a kind of a different wear rate depending on where you're running and the line you're running. Apologies. You think this could play into a factor of early pit strategy or late pit strategy, and you know, change the outcome of the championship possibly?
Well, you know, it wouldn't be the first time that we have seen drivers end up falling victim to early pit strategies. And in fact, Colby Wells was at one point one of those big guys that would make those early pit stops, especially though deeper at the road courses where you can kind of get away with such strategy a bit more than you can here at the ovals. I wonder if Michael Kenner might be thinking about as he is currently in a big fight with Nate Brody, trying to just hang on for the second position at the moment from the number 1 TI Racing Chevrolet from his own Kennebaker Racing High Point Mustang. I think, though, Kenner is starting to lose some speed. He's much like Hamilton in a lot of regards. He is very aggressive. He's got a lot of short run pace, but long run is where he starts to struggle. He has said that all season long. He has got to work on the long run game for races like this, where it's so easy to get a longer green flag run. But considering Colby Wells is pulling away from him, I think he still has a little ways to go in that department yet.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nolan. And I tell you what, racing with Kenner throughout the season, he's definitely aggressive, definitely a fast driver, but like he's mentioned and like you said, his long run it's just not there. And as he's battling Nate Brody for second and third here, it makes you wonder if this battle is just in the back of his mind, and he's thinking that this battle could also mean that he's inducing more wear on his tires, burning more fuel, and perhaps it could alter his strategy towards the latter half of the race, Nolan.
And on the wire, we've still got other drivers still scrapping it out deeper in the field. Tyler Grennan just got up and by Stefan Purcell, putting himself back up into 12th place where he started earlier this race. There's obviously this three-car scrap between Rucci, Ray, and Green, all for the last spot inside the top 5. But as we are 3 laps to go in stage number 1 so far, it is the Colby Wells show up in front. That 45 car got his way to the race lead, and he has been untouchable since then. Michael Kenner's not been able to mount such a good charge. He has been struggling so far in his dash for second place. I think that was Hunter Thrower just about losing control a little bit further up the field. Did you catch that as well?
Yeah, it looks like he nearly lost it just as he nearly loses it again out of 4. He's definitely fighting that car with a bit of damage from earlier.
And Brody finally breaks by Michael Kenner for that second position. Kyle Green losing it out. It looks like Lucas Strayer, Spencer Ray tries to put the pressure on Matt Rucci. Nearly gets into the door of the Badger Racing number 88. Close shave there between Ray and Rucci as they dice it out down through turns 3 and 4 now. Colby Wells will take the final lap here in stage number 1. One more trip around Homestead-Miami Speedway before we put these first 35 laps in the books.
For sure, Nolan. I tell you what, this battle for the top 10 is going to get pretty hairy coming for this last lap here. I mean, as the 41 nearly loses it, I don't know if there was contact between him and the 18, or if it was just a little bit of aero loss from the 18 being right up behind him. And I think we're going to see this all night, Nolan. These guys battling for a spot, and the car's losing aero, and it could play late into this championship battle.
Caution flag is out as Thrower gets into the side of Kyle Green. Drama as the caution flag flies from Homestead-Miami Speedway. So caution flag 1 is out on the racetrack. We're going to take a quick step back. We'll be back with more from Homestead in just a few moments.
There are moments that surprise and delight the mind and the senses. Introducing Sound Art, the world's first truly customizable, concealed, flat panel art speaker system. A revolutionary combination of incredible sound delivered from your most meaningful pictures. When art and technology intersect, there is a seamless blend of creativity and function.
Come alive in the streetlight, pulling at the stars in the moonlight. Every time I feel you close.
With Sound Art, anyone can print their own artwork or pick from numerous licensed artwork that we have. The possibilities are limitless. Enjoy beautiful and amazing sound throughout your home. The entire surface of your artwork generates incredibly robust sound. Sound Art is elegantly hidden behind a high-grade, textured canvas wrap, bringing together the best of sound and art. This innovative design allows for a truly invisible, high-fidelity sound experience without bulky speakers. For licensors and other businesses, we are capable of producing thousands of units per day.
We're using the highest quality materials to give you the best product available in the market. Everywhere you look, there's always art. What I like so much about sound art, that you could just pair it and play.
Ansia, your art never sounded so good.
Welcome back to Homestead-Miami Speedway. We are under now caution flag number 1 of the night for our first stage yellow flag. Colby Wells was the first driver in, and unsurprisingly, he is the first driver out. His teammate, though, Nate Brody, has picked up second from Michael Kenner, making it to the TI Racing 1-2, as well as playoff contenders 1, 2, and 3. Now the question is, team orders. These are 2 guys that are fighting for a championship. Do you reckon TI Racing is the type of guy that would favor one driver with another to take that title here, Nathaniel?
You know, to tell you the truth, Nolan, I don't think these guys are the type of team to do that. I think they're going to be respectful to each other as teammates, but I think they're definitely going to have a no holds bars battle it out to the finish. You know, they're teammates, so they want bragging rights on who won the championship. So I don't think there's going to be team orders. I definitely think we're going to see them battling all the way up to the end.
I would expect nothing less from an outfit that has been so far so in control as the night has gone along. Currently, our top 10 sits to be Wells, Brody, Kenner, Ray, Rucci, Green, Gassione, Strayer, Munson, Peterson, and Purcell. Logan Hamilton is all the way down in that 14th position. And it appears that he did not actually take that quick repair that all these drivers have access to, and we'll jump on board here real quick just to get quick confirmation if he did or not. And well, it doesn't look like everything's quite loaded in properly there, but we can jump actually ahead of a spot. We actually might be able to get just that view. Hard to tell, but I honestly don't quite think that he did, as we can actually see here when Hamilton comes around on this closer shot. Yeah, still has that damage where he hit that inside wall, being turned by Hunter Thrower earlier in this race. What do you make of that decision there?
It's interesting for sure, Nolan. I'm wondering if he's thinking that he doesn't feel he has enough damage. I mean, that was a pretty hard hit in the inside wall, and he's definitely going to be struggling arrow-wise. I mean, we saw him struggling after he got spun, and all this time from the incident with a Thrower there, he's only made it back up 2 spots since he dropped. So it's an interesting call for sure. I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if he thinks he's got, you know, enough arrow for it's not really affecting, or if he's going to try to push it towards the second pit stop and repair then. So we'll see, Nolan.
We will see indeed, as the pace car is going to take the field around through turn numbers 3 and 4. Stage 1 went completely green. Will they do a repeat in stage number 2? Pace cars once more going to pull down and into pit road. And we are going to go back. Green flag racing at Homestead.
And Nolan, as these guys are coming across the line now, I want to point out Nate Brody did not get going on this restart. I'm kind of wondering if these guys with fresh tires are struggling to get, still struggling with tire spin as, you know, we go on through the night. And I noticed a couple other guys were struggling on the restart too. What do you think of that?
Wheel spin is always very common at tracks that have a slightly older surface, and Homestead is, of course, no exception. that track, or the cold track temperature that we talked about earlier as well, not going to be helping matters in that regard in the slightest. So I think you hit the nail on the head there with that one, and hopefully he'll be able to get himself sorted, up towards the end of this race. But for now, that has allowed Kenneth to take over second place. But once again, Colby Wells already taking off as he is 0.6 of a second clear already just from the next closest driver. Strayer making a little peek to the inside of Spencer Ray. Decides he's not going to commit to anything, though, as Ray will start to close up to the back end of the Badger Racing number 88 car. If you're just tuning in, welcome. You haven't missed much. We have just started stage number 2 of the OMSRL Xfinity Series Championship 9 for the Tucson Sound R150 and Homestead-Miami Speedway. My name is Ola Rempel. I've got Nathaniel Ames of here in the booth with me tonight as we continue to work our way over what has so far been a caution-free race, say, for the stage, but not a crash-free one, to say the least.
Yeah, Nolan, as we had a couple incidents during stage 1, Logan Hamilton got spun into the inside wall, and we stayed green, and the Hunter Thrower got into the outside wall, and we stayed green, and it's definitely been a struggle for some of these drivers tonight as they've gotten gotten into other drivers and gotten into a lot of contact. And you know, with this pretty wide runoff area on the inside part of the track for Homestead, you know, it makes you wonder if these green flags could definitely play into the hands of some drivers and definitely, you know, at the cost of other drivers. Nolan.
You mentioned drivers struggling at the moment. Logan Hamilton is one of those. Remember early in the race when Hamilton worked his way up to the field in a hurry, he has not had the same luck on this restart. He is only up to 10th after several laps of green flag running. That is not nearly enough. I think that damage still really affecting the number 12 car, and I think at this point he just didn't want to take that fast break because he thinks there might be another caution later on in the race where he'd be able to take it. It's typically unwise to use your fast repair on the first caution of the race, especially if you're prior to halfway. But he's got to use it eventually or he's not going to be getting that speed back.
Yeah, agreed, Nolan. And I do want to point out that since the restart, he has moved up to 10th position, so he's back up in the top 10. But I definitely agree with you. I think with this damage that he's got on the car, it'll be a tough fight for him to get back up towards the front and battle with his other championship competitors as the night goes on. Like you said, it's definitely unwise for us as drivers to take the fast repair in the first caution. So perhaps he's saving it for a later caution, but we're definitely seeing as the night goes on. As I do want to point out that Thrower Munson and Stefan Purcell are having a battle for 11th right now. What do you think about that, Nolan?
Well, you're always going to have these battles deeper in the field, and Purcell has been trying to cross over that 83 car for several laps as it is. And there it is. Thrower getting a little bit out of shape, allowing Purcell to finally seal the deal, and that will open up for Tyler Grennan as well to lunge one down the inside. It's only a matter of time before these battles kind of come to a head like that, as now Grennan's going to be the one to force Thrower up and wide, and again, a bobble for the 83 car. That 83 is looking really, really loose in the Lowe's Chevrolet. He has been having a rough night so far, and under Thrower, I don't think is going to be very happy with how his race tonight is going. He is very uncharacteristically down the field and most notably a lap down. So Thrower at the moment is not even battling for position here. It's got to be rough when you've been so consistently up at the top 10 throughout the season.
Oh, for sure, Nolan. And I do want to point out, going back to the stage break, Hunter Thrower stayed out to get, I believe, one of his laps back or his lap back, and as it looks like it didn't work out for him, it also makes me wonder if he even, I didn't notice during the stage break if he stopped, so perhaps the damage that he got earlier may also be affecting him as much as maybe it's affecting Logan in the terms of that car being loose and not having the pace that he had at the beginning of the race. Nolan?
Well, it does look like he did come down in the caution, but remember, the way iRacing works is the lap cars come down the lap after all the lead lap guys. So he did come down to pit road, but it was the lap after all the lead lap guys did. So he got his lap back temporarily, only to lose it again, which is why he is still finding himself a lap down here. And obviously, I don't think he was eligible to get a lap back in the first place. I think there was another driver that was still a lap down that got their lap back first prior to throwers. So that is unfortunate for that 83 car. He's going to have to hope for another yellow flag to get himself back at the running. At the moment, he is the first driver eligible for it, being 9 laps further up the road than Justin Wilson is. Of course, he has to be careful that he's not the one causing that caution, because if you are, well, no lucky dog for you.
Agreed, Nolan, as I'm watching Logan Hamilton battle Austin Gaccione and Kyle Munson right now for 9th. And, you know, we talked about Logan struggling with his car, and right now with fresh rubber, like we said earlier on in the race, that he's definitely a short run driver, but, you know, with fresh rubber, he seems to be pretty okay right now moving up through the field.
Hamilton has been slowly picking his way through. He's up to 9th place, which where he started at the front of this race. But look at how far back he is in comparison to the race leaders. He is 5.5 seconds out. You're not going to run that down in one stint. I don't care how quick you are. Unless you got fresh rubber, that's not a gap that's going to be coming down before the next pit stop window. And especially since he's still battling with Kyle Munson and Austin Gaccione as it is. You look at the guys further up front that are still struggling up there as well. It's just he's not able to reel in all that time. I think it is still that damage that has really hurted that number 12 car. Might even be holding up some of these guys behind him.
Yeah, Nolan, and I think he's definitely banking on a caution here with the damage he's got to really close up this gap if he wants to have a chance to battle for the win and to battle for this championship. Right now, I'm not currently up to date on the current points, but I don't think with his position he might not be eligible for the win unless he can get up there and battle with the rest of these guys, Nolan.
Trouble for Matt LaValle on the back straightaway. The number 61 car going around and crashing into the inside wall. But again, off the racing surface, we're going to keep this one green. LaValle just lost it all by himself, got to the outside wall, and then looks like he just let that car roll off of the racetrack and back down into the inside wall. So LaValle having an unfortunate struggles there, just losing control. I talked about turn 1 being such a treacherous place, and turn 2 when it comes to slippery tires. It was only a matter of time before that happened. Just glad it didn't happen in the midst of all your championship contenders.
Yeah, Nolan, and again, it goes back to these guys struggling tonight. I mean, the cold track temps and the lack of rubber down on throughout the corners. And I was watching LaValle earlier, and he's definitely not having the run he wants tonight at this track, and it's only gotten worse with him. So perhaps maybe he'll be looking towards the caution as well to hopefully try to salvage anything for the rest of his race, Nolan.
He took the tow back to pit road, and so I don't think he wanted to risk bringing out that yellow flag, but you're right, the number 61 car going to really need something big to happen here if he wants to get himself back up into contention in this field, which will once again leave this fight between Hamilton, Munson, and Gaccione as the closest battle on the racetrack. Austin Gaccione trying to work that outside lane, trying to get the momentum up. You saw him really throw it in on the outside line. He was so far up, he only cost himself time through the middle of the corner, and not enough that he can run it back down with the run you get down the front straightaway.
Yeah, Nolan, I've noticed these guys, some of these guys are still running that bottom line, and it still looks to be the fastest line. As to while Austin may be able to get the run going into turn 3 and throughout the corner, coming out of the corner looks to be the slower half of the corner that is really costing him time on Munson and Hamilton.
Still working our way steadily through this race as one by one drivers pick their way off, and Logan Hamilton way up and out of the groove, and I think having some sort of issue befall him in the number 12 car. We'll get another look at that one. Oh, up too wide and into the outside wall, so Hamilton's luck goes from bad to worse as he plants his car in that outside wall. Now the place you want to really want to make up moves. That'll kind of peter-patter that battle out in a hurry. How about Kyle Green, though? He's been slowly reeling in Spencer Ray over the last few laps.
Yeah, Kyle Green has definitely had a better second half of the stage after the struggles he had in the first stage, and right now battling Spencer Ray for 6th place. And you know, Kyle has kind of been absent from the racetrack the past couple of weeks, and it's good to see him back racing. And as he takes the battle right to these guys after not racing with us for a couple of weeks, and he's definitely showing the pace tonight. And it's unfortunate he's not in the championship battle, because I feel like he's one of the drivers in this field that could definitely put on a good show towards the front. Nolan?
I agree with you on that one. I mean, Kyle Green is one of those drivers that is definitely talented, but he was not really dedicated to running that entire season, and he found himself not participating in a good chunk of the races. I'm honestly surprised that he's racing here tonight. I thought he would be one of those drivers that wouldn't be interested in running tonight's race, but yeah, here he is, racing as he normally would in the OMSRL Xfinity Series, and making up ground as well, as he's going to lunge to the inside of Spencer Ray to try to pick up a spot on that Bolt's number 6. But again, I don't think he's going to be able to, as Spencer Ray knows how to run that outside lane. And look, he pulls clear almost immediately off of turn 2.
Yeah, Nolan, and I'm starting to notice that this high line is working for a couple drivers and not so much for other drivers. And I know as a driver myself with this league, it all comes down to your racecraft and how you drive the car, right? So seeing Spencer drive off of turn 4 like it was like coming off of it like a rocket ship compared to Kyle Green, it's definitely interesting, and it definitely makes you wonder if a couple of these guys, probably not so much on their racecraft, but are either struggling fighting the car up on the high line, or just don't have the pace to be able to run the high line.
Michael Kenner continuing to try and work his way up into a championship in the OMSRL Xfinity Series. Kenner, of course, is one of those drivers that has had such a solid run for himself over the course of the season. Took his first win in his first ever start in about as dramatic of a fashion as you could possibly imagine, and he has gotten himself 2 other wins so far in the season, and is now trying to get himself a 4th one, which would, of course, net him a championship. But to do so, he's got to run down 1.3 seconds up to Colby Wells. As he continues to do that, why don't we take a quick step away and listen to the sights and sounds from virtual Homestead-Miami Speedway. Let's turn those engines up. Instead, we won't, as the caution flag is out right on lap 65. We're gonna cancel our little crank it segment as Jacob Noyes brings out caution flag number 2.
And Nolan, I'd like to get a replay at that, as I wasn't watching Nolan at the time, and I actually kind of wonder if he got help going around or if he just lost it on it by himself.
Oh, there's another driver sure involved, Tyler Granite, and unfortunately Jacob Noyes just having to get up in a really bad way in that mess. And you know what, I actually agree with you on that one. We're going to back this up a little bit more when we have a second here, and we're going to take a look as to what just transpired here, because there is something that happened on the back straightaway, and I think we all want to know what exactly it was. So this is all the way back in turns 1 and 2. Tyler Grant is way up the road. He's trying to get around Stephen Purcell. They go 3 wide in 1 and 2, and oh, nope, just lost it by himself. Purcell, nothing to do with that one. And Jacob Noyes, innocent bystander.
Yeah, Nolan, and we've seen it time and time again with these cars. The aero on these cars are so sensitive. It's very reminiscent of the Gen 4 era, these Xfinity cars, with the way their aero works. And, you know, it kind of makes you wonder if getting up close to Stefan just completely upset the car, and Tyler couldn't hang on to it. And unfortunately, it took out Noyes as well, Noyes being an innocent bystander, Nolan.
34 laps to go from Homestead-Miami Speedway. Just about everybody in this field is in, except for Jacob Noyes, who stays out, I believe. He went a lap down as a result. No, he didn't. Noyes actually inherits the race lead as a result of this one. Wells first in. will not be the first out. He's beaten by Michael Kenner out of pit road. I thought that was going to be cut and dry, but Michael Kenner just took that 1.5 second advantage of Colby Wells and threw it at the trash as he jumped him on pit road.
Yeah, Nolan, and this could definitely get interesting as we're winding down here. 34 laps to go when they go green. These two are definitely going to be battling it out, and it makes you wonder if this little pit incident here with Kenner beating out Wells could kind of stem into something more as we wind down the last laps here, Nolan.
Jacob Noy is going to be taking a trip down into pit road, and as we are once again under our next caution flag of the night, we will take one more step back, and we'll be back with the remainder of this race in just a few moments. You're watching the OMSRL Xfinity Series Tucson Sounder 150 at Homestead-Miami Speedway.
SoundArt introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home by combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. SoundArt ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
Still on the caution flag, number 2 of the night, as Jacob Noyes brought this one out along with Tyler Grennan, although it really was more of the Grennan show with this one. Jacob Noyes just collected where he didn't need to be. Welcome back to Homestead-Miami Speedway, where Michael Kenner is taking the race lead over Colby Wells in a big championship swing. And Logan Hamilton still looking to see if he has gotten that damage on the front end fixed. And guess what here, Nathaniel? It looks like he has. So will Hamilton finally have that speed to work his way out through the field? Well, let's find out this restart here.
And Nolan, this is definitely going to get interesting, as we've seen throughout the night tonight on these restarts, guys spinning tires. And, you know, we both know that Logan is a short run driver, and with these a few laps to go left, you know, we're wondering if he'll have what it takes to get up front as we're getting ready to go green here, Nolan.
Getting ready to go green flag racing once more from Homestead-Miami Speedway. Michael Kenner going to be in control. The pace car pulls down into pit road once again. In the hands of the racing starter, we're back to green. Kenner with a good jump. Trouble in the background. Kyle Munson sliding down, almost slamming into the inside wall. We're still scrambling as we approach turns 3 and 4. Hunter Thrower at the start of that one, but Michael Kenner going to lead the first lap back to green. A lot of carnage going on back in the field, and we're going to quickly jump back and take a look at this one from the restart. Hamilton shoving Kyle Munson, wanted to get that number 8 car going in the middle of the pack here, and did Munson have any contact? No, that was by him. Oh, he did have a bit of help. He got loose and then went down to the Hamilton. What a save, though, from the number 8.
Wow, that was spectacular from Munson. Keeping it out of the wall, keeping it straight, and keeping it green. And Nolan, I want to go back to that restart here. Kenner got an amazing launch out of the box, and Wells was just not ready for it. And It's kind of what we saw earlier as
Oh,
goes
no!
around.
Save it, save it, save it! Brings it to a stop. No caution flag. He's going to back it up towards the track, but we will not have a yellow flag. We're going to stay green. Another great save-ish. He did get a stop, but kept it out of the wall. I think that's the important thing, and we will once again try to get a look as to what happened here with the number 6 car, but I'm willing to bet just lost control off of turn 2. But yeah, this is exactly what happened.
Lost control, and when he corrected, the car just snapped on him, and around he goes.
Approaching our final quarter of the race, TI Racing runs 2, 3, and 4. Michael Kenner up in the race lead. I don't think this was quite what we had in mind when we went to green flag racing here. This really did just all kick off as Spencer Ray, one of the big players early on, finds himself now way at the back of the field. And Kyle Munson almost found himself in the same boat.
Yeah, Nolan, and it's unfortunate, but you know, we've seen it all night on fresh tires after restarts, and these guys just struggling for grip and racing in the pack, and it's either contact or you lose the rear end and around you go. And it's really unfortunate for Ray and Munson because they were having a stronger second half to their second stage, so it's really unfortunate for them. But I'm sure there's still 26 laps to go, so I'm sure they'll salvage something, and this is definitely going to be a good finish, Nolan.
Matt Rucci to the inside of Hunter Thrower, took that spot away out of 1 and 2, and saw Jacob Noyes also pull a slider on Robert Peterson right at the back end of the field as well, as we continue to check in on the fights all throughout this one. 75% of the way to the finish, and we are getting closer and closer to that point where it becomes crunch time. At this point, drivers will not have to worry about fuel. I think that's the other very important factor, right? The guys didn't have to worry about fuel in the first stint of this race. That caution came out at the perfect point to make this just a mad dash of the checkered flag.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Nolan. And while we're watching Matt Rucci run with Gaccione there, I wanted to point out, sorry for having you move the cameras back and forth. I wanted to point out that Kenner has not been able to separate from Wells as much as Wells has been able to separate from Kenner throughout the night. I mean, there are only 2 tenths between each other, opposed to the second and a half we saw Wells and Kenner before that last caution, Nolan.
You're absolutely correct in that regard, and you can tell that Colton Wells has that long run pace that Kenner does not. Michael Kenner, once again, needs to have these cautions if he wants to survive with his race lead intact. This camera is set up all the way from the grandstands. You can still just barely get a glimpse of the shadow of Colby Wells' bumper and splitter over on the left-hand side. Wells is within 0.2 of a second of Michael Kenner, and that is the exact opposite of where Kenner wants to find himself. If anything, he wants to move one pressure in Wells, not the other way around here. Michael Kenner, though, has been a great driver on being able to weather that pressure, and hopefully he'll be able to do so for 22 more laps and become a rookie champion of the OMSRL Xfinity Series.
Yes, for sure, Nolan. But I tell you what, these two all season have been battling out for race wins, and we've definitely seen some more heated battles between these two, as Wells is 1,500s within Kenner now, and it makes you wonder if Kenner can hold this 1,500 to 2/10 of a second lead on Wells for these next 22 laps. As we've pointed out earlier in the race, Kenner is not a long run driver by any means compared to Wells, and like you said, he's definitely probably hoping for another caution, which we could get or we may not get. But it's just a matter of Kenner needs to hold off Wells, while also, as Wells goes for the dive inside, it's going to get interesting, Nolan.
Nearly got to the left rear quarter panel of Kenner that time as Kenner swiped across the nose of the number 45. Wells thinking about making a secondary attack into turn 1. Makes it look at the last 12 seconds, and he's going to be there. Door to door. Kenner pinched him in. Contact slightly. Wells leaning on the 98 car as they wash up to the outside wall. And Kenner staying out in front for now. But Colby Wells has got the inside line. Two title contenders fighting for the race lead in the season finale. Once again, the squeeze, the bump. Wells out of shape this time. Kenner hangs on.
And Nolan, I can tell you for sure this is just going to get even more intense as these laps click down to the end of the race. As we've already saw Wells make some desperate moves on the inside to try to get that lead away and pressuring Kenner to the utmost max to try to get him to make a mistake to be able to pull out in front of Kenner. And I tell you what, like you said, about 10 minutes ago, that Kenner is definitely one of those drivers that's been able to weather this kind of pressure, this kind of racing from guys like Wells and Rucci, Nolan. And with that being said, we can definitely expect these last 18, 17 laps to bring us some high-quality battle for the championship and for the lead, Nolan.
Colby Wells looking for the inside, but no room this time around, as once again Michael Kenner continues to weather the storm. 10th of a second and closing. The two TI teammates are behind them. We're thinking about going side by side as well. That'd be Nate Brody and Lucas Strayer. But right now, it is all eyes on the race leaders, as Wells got to the back of Michael Kenner that time around. I want to point something out here. He hasn't been working trying to get around the nice way. He's going to do it the mean way now. To the bumper, trying for the bump and run in 1 and 2, but he can't get there in time, and he's going to back out down the back straightaway. But you saw that as well as I did, Nathaniel. That was a bump and run attempt with 17 to go at Homestead.
For sure, Nolan, and like I said, this is going to be an intense finisher to this race. And I tell you what, these two guys are giving it all they have and all they can to be able to just Kenner keep the lead or Wells take the lead. And once Wells gets up to Kenner's bumper again, you can guarantee Wells is going to be using that chrome horn to try to move Kenner out the way again.
Justin Wilson coming on down to the pit road and is now leaving with a 15.6 second stop in the box. So I don't think Wilson came down under that last caution. Just stayed out to get a lap back. It was now forced to pit with 16 laps to go. But remember, he is still about 8, make that 10 now, laps down from race leader Michael Kenner. Wells once again pushing to the back bumper. Will he get there again? He is so close. Nothing between them. As Wilson leaves pit road, there goes Wells looking for the inside line. 15 to go, the 45, lunging down in the turns 3 and 4. Contact, they're rubbing doors. Up to the second lane to the third. Kenner's going around on the top shelf. He's going to slide down. Caution flag is out. And it's controversy from Homestead-Miami Speedway as Kenner is dumped for the race lead. Colby Wells.
Apologies, Nolan. I tell you what. We knew this was coming. Those two were battling for the last 5 laps, door to door, bumper to bumper. And we just knew that any form of extra contact that they were making between each other could lead to an incident like we saw here just now.
We're going to try to back it up just a little bit further here because there is so much to unpack in this one. And we're going to actually take a look at a run-up on this from the lap prior. So this is Colby Wells. We're going to switch over here to a constant shots. We're not going to be tricked by, changing camera angles as to what took place here. He definitely had help. Wells threw it in for sure, but I think he might not be solely at fault for this one. Watch as Michael Kenner, this is actually going to be a little bit earlier than I anticipated as well. So we're going to have to wait just a little while on this one here. I believe I threw this one just a little bit prematurely. So apologies for this one here as we continue to work our way around the racetrack here. Yes, this is where it'll be this lap by. Colby Wells started the close off of 4. I'm curious if it got to the back bumper and actually moved him in 1 and 2 here. I didn't quite get to him there, but he got certainly close to it. He's not going to get a little bit twitchy there. That's going to open up the door. Wells is going to throw it to the inside. Now watch this here. Wells goes down to the apron, and Kenner just doesn't leave him any room. You can hardly, I'm going to take it back, you can hardly blame Colby Wells on that one. Kenner just pushed him in, and when they rub doors, of course, he's going to wash wide. That's just bound to happen.
Yeah, Nolan, and we've seen it all season. These types of moves on the inside like that, when the guy up top is keeping you low and crowding you with all he's got. I mean, it's bound to send you or him into the wall, or at least around, and that's exactly what happened here, Nolan.
So what's your take on that one? Because I know that's been a bit of a controversial subject in incident reviews so far throughout this season. The fact of, how much space do you really need to leave a driver? When are they considered to be alongside? Because it's worth noting that Colby Wells was only at the quarter panel when they hit corner entry, just barely on the inside, but he was door to door when they finally actually made contact. I still can't fully fault Wells for that one because he very much established a position there. But I'm curious because you've also been racing with these guys. You've built up the relationships on track a lot more than I have. What's your take when you see something like that take place? If you had to pick, what would you say went down there? Who would you kind of put on a pike for that one?
Nolan, to be honest with you, I really wouldn't put a pike on anybody. As a driver myself, these things do happen. I mean, it's NASCAR, right? So it's definitely door-to-door, bump-to-bumper. It's Rubbins racing. So, it no matter if he's a quarter panel or a whole door on the inside, he is on the side of Kenner, and, he had a right to that lane. And, as a driver, I don't think the guy above you should be crowding you all the way to the line, but that's also perfectly legal to do. So you can't really fault either of them for giving them all they got, but I definitely have to say that, as part of the controversy, it's just one of those things, you can't always know for sure if the driver's doing it intentionally or doesn't, or if he doesn't know you're exactly there, or, maybe he's just trying to race you hard and hope you make the mistake, Nolan. So, I think it's a 50-50 kind of race incident deal when it comes to stuff like this.
I think I kind of agree with you on that one. Because, I mean, it's one of those things where you got 4 lanes to run other than that one right down by the bottom. You don't have to run those. You can pinch them in if you want, but you have to be prepared for the chance that you might be getting some blowback for it. And I think Kenner, once more finding out the hard way, he's not too far back. He's only at 12th. He might be able to salvage that in the next 10 laps here.
Yeah, Nolan, he might be able to, but it's definitely going to be hard-pressed for him to get back up front. We've seen time and time again all night with restarts that Wells has a rocket ship on restarts. So it's definitely going to be interesting. And I do want to point out Logan Hamilton is back up to 3rd now. So he's made a nice recovery from earlier on as we get ready to go green. They're coming out of turn 4 and green flags in the air, Nolan. We're well underway, and green got a good start.
Hamilton, you mentioned back up to 3rd. The driver in front of him, teammate Kyle Green. So, look out, Nate Brody sliding around middle of the pack. Gonna slide back up into the field. Gets Jones up and over against the outside wall. Ray slides down to the inside line, and they're under caution again with 10 to go.
And that's insane, Nolan. It's like we talked about all night. Cold tires, you have no grip coming into those corners, especially on the restart. It's definitely unfortunate that it was one of our championship contenders that got loose and took some guys with him, and this could be pretty costly for him.
There's a lot of checking up going on in the field here. You saw that as well, and there's a lot of guys that kind of contributed to this, but you'll see Hamilton go around, but it was really Nate Brody that started this all off. He's going to slide down and get into Peterson, and then poor Austin Gassion, just nothing he could do. He got shoved up into the wall and went for a ride, but you saw Wilson, Munson also involved. Purcell just barely had a close shave, down there on that inside line there, and in fact, want to see if we can get a look with Stefan Purcell, who was kind of fast approaching on all of this as he went along. There we go. This will be the shot right here. See him kind of shifted up a bit early, almost in anticipation of what was going on in front of him, and then sees Brody going around. He's already checking up. He already knew right away that wasn't going to end well. He just locks it way down, and good thing he did, because there you see Justin Wilson going around after he had just barely gotten around, and then he's just going to make a slow loop to the inside and keep going.
For sure, Nolan, as we also see, Spencer Ray got launched into the inside wall through all that. So it's very unfortunate. I mean, as a driver, I've seen it happen, and it's even happened to myself, you know, on cold tires, coming through the first 2 corners, and you just lose it. And unfortunately, being in a pack like this, you're going to take somebody with you, and, you know, it was definitely unfortunate. You got, looks like Peterson, Spencer Ray was involved. Gacciano got the worst of it.
Yeah, and you're not kidding. Yeah, Spencer Ray went way down. Actually, even got onto like that infield road course a little bit. And there's Justin Wilson just kind of moving it around himself. Kyle Green, though, still up in the race lead, and it's worth noting, I do believe he's on old tires. I want to just confirm that here on this one. We'll take a look at when drivers last came down to pit, and he did actually come down to pit. So, pardon me on that one. Kyle Green didn't come down and pit. Now want to compare something else. He took right side. I think he took 2 tires only, either right sides or left sides only, because he had a 5-second shorter pit stop than anybody else.
Yeah, Nolan, he either took two tire stop, or he just splashed up with a little bit of gas and took all 4s. But either way, this is definitely not what we expected earlier on to see Green up here up front.
I'm not complaining, though.
Definitely not. This is definitely going to be interesting, with Wells also starting second. And I also want to point out that on timing, it shows Logan Hamilton at 7th right now. So I wonder if he was involved with that somehow, or just checked up and lost.
We're going to look at it here. He wasn't actually involved in the mid-incident. He did start to get loose, but it was Nick Brody that really kicked all of this off. Hamilton actually managed to save the car, which is what we're going to look at here in this one. Started 3rd right behind his teammate. Yeah, just lost control by himself, and talk about some cat-like reflexes working that wheel. Barely lost any bit of time before that yellow flag came out, right about there, you can see on the outside wall.
Yeah, Nolan, and that is impressive. I tell you what, as a driver with this league and racing with these guys, I mean, these are some of the best guys, best NASCAR guys I've raced with. These guys, and I want to include myself in there, even though I'm not racing tonight. These guys can put on a show for the OMSRL Xfinity Series, Nolan.
Every race has been entertaining, to say the least. I mean, heck, even Mid-Ohio. Now, I am a firm Mid-Ohio hater. I despise that track with a burning passion. I don't think it is suitable for racing at all, let alone stock car racing. And you somehow managed to make not only a track not meant for stock cars at all entertaining, but with a 14-car field entertaining. I didn't think that was possible, but here we are. And on top of that, I mean, the 13-car field was one of the people that qualified didn't even race. So if you can make that entertaining, you can make just about anything entertaining. I'm convinced at this point.
Agreed, Nolan. I tell you what, I mean, me, Munson, and Pranger battled all night at Mid-Ohio, and I don't like Mid-Ohio in the stock cars, but I tell you what, it was a fun race, and it again goes to show that us guys in the Xfinity Series here can put on a great show for the spectators. And
Green flies back in the air. Kyle Green on the loud pedal. Colby Wells didn't get a good launch. Neither did Lucas Strayer. Both drivers spun the tires as we throttle it back down to turn 1. 5 laps to go. Strayer's got it done by Michael Kenner to the outside wall. Caution is out again. And just like that, we're into overtime. This is where it starts. It only takes that one yellow flag, and then it is on from there. Michael Kenner also, though, getting turned into the inside wall. There was, again, a lot that happened in this one, and we will, again, get another look at this one as we saw it, hopefully at least. We'll start with what happened to Lucas Strayer first, and we will check in on what happened to Michael Kenner in just a moment. Now, back it up just a little bit further, but you'll be able to see Strayer. Michael Kenner makes a move to the inside, and, well, at that point, it's not to the inside. He just drives through the 41.
Yeah, just completely puts it into his left quarter, and I wonder if Strayer kind of went for a late block that Kenner wasn't expecting, or if he just slammed the door on him, or Kenner just decided it's go time and I need to put the pedal to the metal. But either way, it's definitely unfortunate, and it's also unfortunate because it's
Wow!
Ooh.
Secondary incident between Kenner and Thrower. Sorry to cut you off there, but that caught me off guard in a big way. I knew he went around, but I didn't think it was like that.
Yeah, and it's all good, Nolan. But, yeah, I don't know if... I can't tell if Hunter got loose or if he just drove it down into Kenner. That's very tough to call there, Nolan. But either way, there was contact, and it definitely resulted in an unfortunate spin out for our championship contender.
On board with Thrower here, this will kind of be the storyteller. No, he didn't get loose at all. He just drove it down there. I don't think he even realized Kenner was there. Well, this is going to throw a big wrench in the works, because now even if Michael Kenner wins, he's going to be under very heavy scrutiny for that last incident there. You know, it was going so well. I mean, it was very open, cut, and dry. Oh, dear. I just checked the OMSRL Discord general chat. Anthony Musati is calling the shots here. And he quoted a very famous line now from 2012. I think you know what I'm talking about. You know what needs to be done. Reach up and scratch that itch. And the next lap, this happens. Oh, dear. Oh, no. I am 100% certain that is a coincidence. But yikes.
Yeah, I definitely hope so, Nolan, because, man, let me tell you.
Well, they're not teammates, so they're not team orders. That is 100% a coincidence. But that is just unfortunate in the most amusing of ways. But kind of going back to it, Kenner's under heavy scrutiny for that now because of that. The way OMSRL does penalties, they do it all post-race. Now, we have been told that if anything were to come up involving our title contenders, those would be reviewed as priority so we can make an official announcement on who's the championship by the end of tonight's broadcast. Michael Kenner, even if he wins the race on a green-white checker, which, let's face it, he's not going to do from 12th place, it's not guaranteed.
Agreed, Nolan. And it makes you wonder if there's going to be a couple different reviews tonight, because as we saw early on in the race, Logan got spun into the inside wall, and unfortunately for him, there was no caution. But we do see him back up in fourth, and it's a great recovery for him from tonight.
And, of course, Nate Brody, you saw collected earlier in the wreck of his own. I'm going to be blunt. This is down between Wells and Hamilton now. The driver we didn't think would be the two drivers really we didn't think would really be in it tonight are the two that are in it. As the two that we thought would be in it have found themselves collected in late race drama here.
Yeah, Nolan, but you know what they say. That's the way the cookie crumbles, and we're definitely going to see a great battle to the end as Wells and Hamilton look to secure their name in the championship slot for this season.
Once again, Kyle Green goes to the outside line where his teammate Logan Hamilton is waiting for him. How will this race play out? They very well could be working together on this one on some sort of strategy, but it's going to have to be a really close call here between Kyle Green and Colby Wells. Logan Hamilton on the top, Wells on the bottom. 2 laps left to go to decide it all if they get to the white flag. We're green for the final time. Petrucci to the inside of Colby Wells, going for last minute glory, but no room. Hamilton to the outside of Wells, trying to pull clear in 1 and 2. A block down the back straightaway. Wells still has the nose in there. Side by side into turns 3 and 4. Kyle Green leads, but it will not be a factor. This race goes green. Robert Peterson getting turned to the background. No caution. Do they make it back to the white flag? The answer will be yes. Final lap. It ends this time around. Hamilton still on the back end of Colby Wells. Both drivers going for their first championships. Wells for TI. Hamilton for Dirty South Racing. Hamilton sideways off of turn 2. He's going to lose all the momentum he had built up through 1 and 2. And Colby Wells left with no competition into 3 and 4 for the final time. Kyle Green will win the Tucson Soundart 150, but Colby Wells is your Season 3 OMSRL Xfinity Series champion.
Wow, Nolan, what a finish and what a battle between these two guys. The two drivers of the championship four we did not expect to see, running well tonight. And as we saw, cautions bred cautions, and it ended up working in Wells' favor from the early on leads to the mid-race second and third place running, that as he's getting some celebratory bumps there at the end, but it's amazing. As I understand it, I'm a rookie. This is my rookie season for this series, and it's been a fun season. As I understand it, he just came up just short last season as a champion, so it's definitely well deserved for Kobe as he brought it home champion for seasons 3 at Xfinity Series, Nolan.
And all of this taking place on the final lap as they came down to the wire. This was actually, coming to the white flag. There was Robert Peterson getting into the outside wall, but it looks like it wasn't quite over just yet, as Grant Peterson actually got turned down to the turn numbers 3 and 4 as well. And we'll get one final look at this one before we close the books on Season 3. And there was Michael Kenner. Drove through the Mobile 152 car, sending them head on into that outside wall. But holy cow, what a race for Colby Wells. A very much well-deserved championship tonight, as you could not ask for a more dramatic ending to a season. Wells is going to burn down with his TI teammates over there on the front straightaway, as he so rightfully deserves to. What a ride it has been so far for everybody in this championship. I don't think you could possibly ask for more drama to end off what has been one of the best seasons the OMSRL has ever had. We're going to take a look now at your official post-race results here for the Tucson Soundart 150. Kyle Green, the race winner and new champion. Colby Wells going to bring it up in second, with Logan Hamilton cranking it up in third to round out the podium. Matt Rucci will be in fourth, with Spencer Ray in fifth. Jacob Noyes brings up sixth. Lucas Strayer in seventh. Kyle Munson is in eighth, with Austin Gassione in ninth. Nate Brody rounds out the top 10. So there you've got Hunter Thrower, Robert Peterson, Stephen Purcell, Michael Kenner, and Grant Peterson to round out the top 15. The last drivers in this field going to be that of Justin Wilson, Tyler Grennan, Matt LaValle, Alexander Schumacher, and Sean Kaiser to bring up the rear of this field. Holy cow, what a ride it was here tonight, and that was about as action-packed as you can possibly get it. And at this point, we are going to talk to the driver that definitely deserved this championship, and he had to work for tonight, but he manages to get it done. Colby Wells is your Season 3 champion. And holy cow, what a ride it has been for you, Colby, all throughout the season. So many ups and downs, but it finally pays off at Homestead.
I can't believe it, man. It was such a good race. I knew that if I could just wrap the bottom there and save my tires, I'd be in a really good spot. And then that yellow at the end really threw things for a loop. And then once Michael beat me off of pit road, I mean, we'd go green for a little bit. He'd screw up his tires. So I knew if I just wrapped the bottom and ran what I needed, I'd have a shot at him. And When we started racing, he would brake check me a little bit off the corners, then he would pinch me really hard, and we got into that one corner, and he pinched me almost to the white line, and I came up a little bit from hitting the apron, and we made a little bit of contact, and I don't want to race him like that, and I do apologize to him for doing that, but we raced for a championship, and like you said, the season was so up and down, and man, I can't believe it really.
Of course, you had to work for it here tonight, and while you did manage to take it away from Michael Kenner, you didn't let him have it easily. Obviously, you had that incident there coming around turns 3 and 4, which I really think is the only thing at the moment that is threatening your championship at the moment, that incident between you and Michael Kenner. He was really pinching to the bottom there, though, in my humble opinion. I don't think you really did anything too wrong there, but of course, it's all going to be up to the review board afterwards. How optimistic are you, though, that that might come out in your favor and secure you your championship?
No, I'm not worried about it at all. I did do that on purpose, and even doing it on purpose there wouldn't make any sense with that many laps left and having a yellow, and you just put everybody right back at you. So I mean, doing it on purpose there doesn't make any sense. And I mean, he kept pinching me, and he pinched me too far one time, and I just hit the apron and came up. So there's not much I could do about that, and it's up to them. But like I said, not much I could do.
And when you look forward, obviously you are going to be known as the driver that officially toppled you officially toppled Matt Rucci's championship, and that has been something that a lot of drivers have been aiming for. Do you look set to go forth and defend your title into season 4 here?
Last last year I was at the championship lead. I don't know how many to go. It was like 15, 20 laps to go, and it ended up lagging out, and that was such a big heartbreak. And I really felt like I was in the control of that race, and I thought I could wrap that one up. So this was just kind of a redemption for me. I felt like I could beat him, 2 seasons in a row. But I'm not. Marucci's a hell of a driver. I'm not too worried about just trying to beat him. I'm trying to beat the whole field, and he's one hell of a driver, and we'll have a good battle next season.
Well, it's been such a run for you. Before we let you go, anybody you'd like to shout out for your TI Racing number 45?
Yeah, I got to thank Actual Rooftop Bar Tours, Chris Lewis, TI Racing, both my teammates, Lucas and Nate. They helped me a ton throughout the season. We worked together, pit strategy and stuff, and I can't thank them enough. Like I said, Chris Lewis, Actual Rooftop Tours, Dale's Pools, RD Design, just all the guys. And, the people on iRacing think sponsors don't really matter, but when you put together a team and you get a sponsor like Asheville, and they really do help out a ton. So I appreciate their assistance a lot.
And thank you for taking the time to join us and race with us. What a night it has been for you. We're going to let you get back down and celebrate it with your teammates. Congratulations on the championship. Best of luck in the seasons going forward.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the broadcast.
That was, of course, your race winner, Michael, or your champion now, or unofficial champion, I should say, Colby Wells. And that has just been made official by the review board, deemed as hard racing. No action is going to be taken on either driver. Colby Wells' championship will stand. We're going to move on down before we talk in with our race winner to the driver that had the runner-up in the championship. And for Logan Hamilton, it is heartbreak. You had the chance on that final lap, but unfortunately just lost the momentum off of turn number 2. Why don't you walk us through that green-white checker and what happened there?
Yeah, I took a gamble on 2 tires at the end with Kyle because I knew I was kind of running 12th or 11th wherever I was, and I didn't really have a shot at doing anything if I just took 4 like everyone else. So took a chance on 2, gained track position, and then it was kind of nice to have all the yellows because I could kind of just let the left sides cool off, and then not have to worry about the way the 2 tires would react. And then obviously on that last restart I actually did have to deal with them, and it was super loose. So I did my best trying to hold Colby off. um Kyle was a big helping me to start behind him and get good jumps. I got the good jump on Colby on the last restart, but it was just I tried to pinch him down as much as I could, but then I kind of just started overdriving it a little bit, missed the corner a couple times, and then tried to make up for it on the exits and got loose. So I thought about trying to give him the bumper on the last lap, but I was too far back. So I mean, I ran outside the top 10 all night, so I guess I'll take second. My first season, I'll take second in the championship. So just looking forward to next season, and got to get if I want to win championships, you got to get in the win column, obviously, and that's something that I worked on in other leagues where it took me a while to win. But once we do win, I think it'll start opening up the floodgates a little bit more.
And of course, you mentioned that you still want to go out and race, and obviously you show that you absolutely have championship-winning pace here tonight. Do you reckon you'll be able to go out and potentially get that title and this time secure it in Season 4?
Yeah, that's always the goal. I think you go into every season expecting to be contending for the title, and I wasn't really expecting to even make the championship 4 this season because I've kind of haven't run the Xfinity car consistently before I joined this league, so I was still learning how to drive this car and learn how to drive some of the tracks like Mid Ohio and those sort of tracks that I hadn't raced at before. So I think next season it'll be a bit more familiar for me. I'll know how to attack certain races, like how new 2 tires will work tonight because of how Colby did it last week. So, I'm always learning and taking into account what I could do better next time, and I think that'll help me just um, become a stronger driver and stronger racer as I go for a title next season.
Before I let you go, then here, Logan, anybody you'd like to shout out for your Dirty South Racing number 12?
Shout out DSR Kyle Green. Congrats to him for getting the win tonight. He loves this track. He's always been good here. Opposite of me, this is like my worst track ever. So I'm happy to finish third. Tucson Sound Art. They're make some cool sound art stuff. So go check them out. Shout out to Colby. Congrats to him on winning the championship. He deserves it. I wasn't here last season, but I heard that he was gonna win it last season, and then he had an internet issue. So just he deserves to win the championship, and congrats to him. Shout out to all the racers in this league racing clean tonight. It was a good race. It was fun, and I'm looking forward to next season.
I was Logan Hamilton joining us here from the third place on the race podium, second place on the championship podium. And we are going to now give a chant here to the race winner of the night, Kyle Green. Join us up here in the broadcast booth. And Nathaniel, you're standing by with the Dirty South Racing number 18.
Yes, Kyle. First off, congratulations on the win tonight. It was spectacular from up here in the booth. What was your strategy tonight to get the win? I know you kind of struggled early on in the race, but the car looks like it came to you later on in the race. Just walk us through what your strategy was to try to get the win tonight.
Well, at first, my strategy was just kind of take it easy and figure out where my pace was. I mean, I knew I was going to be kind of quick, but I wasn't sure how fast which is one of the reasons I started in the back. But I was just taking it easy at first, but then like the second run, I did that, and it kind of felt like I got to a point where I just couldn't pass anybody. So the next run, when I took tires, I wasn't really holding back. So, and then on that final caution, I just decided to take 2 to try and get out in front of everybody, and it just worked out good.
All right. So with the end of this season, also, we know that you didn't race a couple races during the mid of this season, and you missed out on the championship there. What are your hopes for next season going into season 4? You think you're going to try to make it into the championship fight and potentially be our season 4 champion?
Yeah, I'll probably start showing up for a few more races. I'll have to look and see what the schedule is, see if it works out with my schedule, but I'll definitely be looking into it for sure.
All right, Kyle. Well, thank you. And before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to shout out for that Dirty South Racing number 18?
Just the DSR team and Steven for making all my paints, and just everybody that practices with me. So, and then you guys, the broadcast.
Well, thank you for joining us here tonight, then, Kyle. Congratulations on the race win. Hopefully we'll see many more of those in the seasons to come.
Thank you.
Obviously, race winner Kyle Green joining us up here from Victory Lane. And honestly, with about that is about all the time we are going to have for one night. What a race, though, it has been tonight. It has just been non-stop drama and action for this championship. You couldn't ask for a better ending to what has been an absolutely phenomenal season. And we're going to take a little bit of a break before we will be, of course, back for more for season number 4. For now, though, Logan Hamilton will have to settle for second. And Colby Wells, after having that heartbreak at the end of Season 2, will finally get himself that championship. For now, though, from the virtual Homestead-Miami Speedway, my name is Manola Rempel, with Nathaniel Ames helping me out tonight in the broadcast booth. Thank you all for taking the time to join us, not just for this race, but for the season. We'll be back with more for Season 4 whenever the OMSRL Xfinity Series returns. Have a good night, and congratulations once more to Colby Wells, your Season 3 champion.